For much of Super Bowl week, many of my interviews have been serious and smart and hard-hitting.
I'm sorry.
This will be none of those things. Only compared to this one.
Well, I
compared
don't know.
to this one.
I think you're playing up your normal. So no, you're great.
Yeah, sure. I'm playing it up a little bit, but
Yeah.
I'm about to bring it down. Frank Caliendo, the great Frank Caliendo, at Frank Caliendo on all social media, frankcaliendo.com. My old friend from ESPN.
Yes.
We've done a lot of goofy, dumb stuff over the years, my
Yeah.
friend. How is Super Bowl week for you?
Great. Well, I live here in Phoenix, in Tempe,
Okay.
Arizona, so it's good to be here. And I brought my son down to Media Row to take a look and see all the giant human beings walking around,
Right.
and the faces you see on TV and stuff like that. So it's been pretty cool. Yeah, it was funny because Micah Parsons walked by and he's like, "Oh
Okay.
my God!" He's like, "This is crazy." I'm like, "I know." And imagine these guys hit each other and tackle each other at speeds that we can't even understand. So.
I'm sure, I know this has happened because I've seen this on air where you've done an impression of somebody either in front of them or on request, but that's always been like in sort of taped segments or whatever, where it's been sort of a setup.
Right.
When you walk around something like this where you run into a bunch of celebrities, you run into a bunch of athletes who you do impressions of.
Yeah, well, it's funny because it just happened.
Okay.
It sounds like a setup. It sounds like we planned this, but I don't think
No,
we did.
we didn't.
It was Stephen A. Smith was just walking by.
Yeah.
And I saw him. He was very business.
Yes.
He's always dressed to the hilt.
Yeah.
And, the great, like 35 people around him.
He rolls deep.
Yes, very deep. And I was like, Stephen A., how's it going? And he went, what? Oh, Frank Caliendo, how are you? And he came over, gave me a hug, and he's like, how's it going? Is everything going fine? And he's going to the vocabulary, and I don't
Right.
have the thesaurus with me, so I'm not ready. I hadn't seen him for quite a while, and my son, he says hello to my son. That's really what it's about for me.
Sure,
here
of
is a lot
course.
of that.
Stephen A.'s great about stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, he was fantastic. And the last time we hadn't seen him for a while, I actually saw him with my son. It's funny, he was in an elevator at Staples Center maybe 8-10 years ago.
Okay.
He had a hat on, his hat was down, he was going incognito, Stephen
Sure,
A.
yeah.
And he's like, hey, Frank. The quiet Stephen A. Hey, Frank. I was like, what? Oh, and he's like, it's Stephen A. I was like, okay, Stephen. And then my son didn't even know at the time who
Right.
he really was. I guess he kind of did. But then a few years later, he goes, that guy in the elevator, was that Stephen A. Smith? And I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, how did I miss that moment? I go, well, you're a little kid. You go back and at least we have
Right.
those memories. But then he got to see him again here today.
Which is cool.
That was really good. The first time I ever did a Stephen A. Smith impression was for him. Because remember, he had that show at ESPN.
Was it Quite Frankly?
Yeah, quite frankly.
Yeah, quite frankly.
Then he went to Fox for a little bit, and then he
Right.
came back. And then before that, it was called Pizza and whatever that stuff was. Everybody's watching and listening to this.
Yeah.
So he came back and he goes, Frank, do me a favor. Of all the impressions and impersonations you do, don't ever do me. And he was half joking,
Yeah.
but that's how people get bigger, right? Is you have people doing impressions of you.
Right. To that end, by the way, I have no joke, no lie. I think 5 years in a row, 6 years in a row, I've said, when do I get a Matthew Berry impression? When is Frank Caliendo going to do a Matthew Berry impression? And Mike, so my question to you is, and I haven't gotten one yet, so my question to you is it because I don't have a distinctive enough style or sound the way that, Stephen A. sounds
Well, just the
so
way you did stuff right there,
Barkley.
or sound. Like I could find a cadence. You definitely have
Right.
a cadence. At where you are now
Yeah.
at NBC, I think you feel much looser to me and more
am.
fun.
Yeah.
So there's a side that people didn't always see of you where you were before. So now they see that. I think that's where you start to get you build it a little bit more. And as you get more, I've seen you grow over the years. As far as TV, you first started TV very stiff. We all do. Start stiff and just kind of talking to the camera a little bit more robotic. And now you're this guy that I've seen behind the scenes, and that starts to come out on TV, and it's a lot of fun. So there's as you get more comfortable, have more fun in this new platform that you're on. We'll see more of that stuff. It's like watching, and this is an old school type of impression. But De Niro wasn't De Niro, and now everybody's doing this kind of thing, right?
Right, of course.
It's as people.
Same with Nicholson. Nicholson's the same way.
The big over the top thing.
Right.
It's what Tony Romo's run into recently. Like Tony Romo's
Yeah.
got everybody coming. With Romo says, "Oh, Jim, this is gonna be so good, Jim. Here we go." That was everybody loved it. Now people pile on because you got the big contract and stuff
Right,
like
yeah.
that. So I don't have a great Jim Nance, but I started doing the Nance. With the Nance Romo, it's like Romo's a car. That's,
Okay.
You know, so
Yeah.
Jim Nance, along with my pal Tony Romo, let's rev up the engine. Tony's like, Jim. Here we go, Jim. And that's the whole thing. Is like Romo's got that thing where he'll start like being excited about, oh, Jim, what do you think is going to happen here, Jim? This is going to be so great. It's going to be, and like, that's your job, Tony.
Right.
You know, it's
Tell
like,
us. Tell us. Yes.
Oh, Jim, it's incredible and amazing and amazingly incredible. Like he's talking through a smile the whole time.
A little bit. I don't know if you've ever watched this, but like if you ever have young kids, you get sucked into these. But there are nothing but these unboxing videos on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's cards, but like there are videos for YouTubers. Like my daughters were obsessed with them, and they're like 5 or 6, where they would put out Play-Doh or Lego sets and put them together and everything like that. And so it's the same. It feels like Tony Romo's like doing an unboxing video.
He's a kid in a candy store. He's a kid in a candy.
Oh, Jim, look at the Twizzlers. They're all together, and you pull them apart. It's going to be great. There's a Milky Way. The Milky Way dark. Here we go, Jim. This is going to be so good. Oh, Sour Patch Kids. Oh, Jim.
And I could only really do as Nance. I could only say one word, Tony, because that's when he gets excited.
Yeah.
I heard him go to the sideline. Like he did that one. So Nance called me through a mutual friend one time.
Okay.
Nance called me. He left me a message. One of the greatest messages of all time is, "Hello, Frank. Jim Nance." I was like, "Are you kidding me?
Right.
This is pretty cool." So, but yeah, that's the people.
When you find something like that, so Romo's obviously, for a variety of reasons, big star, and yes, and people are starting to do impressions, and because there's questions about how good is he? Has he lost his step? Whatever. But and so a Nance Romo impression obviously would do very well for you, especially because he's kind of in the zeitgeist right now.
Right.
But you're like, I haven't totally nailed Jim Nance yet. Do you keep at it, or is that one of those?
I do
where
keep
it's just
at
because of your register, or whatever? You're just. Have you ever found a voice that you feel like you can't?
There's a lot of those, and I look at it like this: if I can use it as a setup for the bigger one that's better.
Right.
But what's weird is nowadays people are like, oh, that one stinks. People will tell you, on the internet, you get this. You have some kind of, in your fantasy team, something doesn't work. I get the same kind of thing that you get for a bad call in a fantasy.
They don't think the
I started
impression's
this
good
guy.
enough?
Why did you that? Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like you don't deserve this job.
That's insane to me. Like, I get it, because if I said, hey, whatever, start Ezekiel Elliott, and then he craps the bed, then at least you took my advice. But like, who's giving you crap about an impression?
Because it's just constant. Because people can, and they will. But I mean, there are people. NBC obviously has Cris Collinsworth.
Yep.
I don't have a great. I started working on Cris Collinsworth, but my friend John Holmberg does it. Joey Molinaro does it. I was like, well, now people do it. Now I just look like it. But people don't really care about that as much anymore.
No, I don't.
There used to be you owned an impression. Like nobody else did Madden because I did Madden. They're doing this and boom. But now it's kind of
Mel
free
Kiper.
reign.
I feel like you owned Mel
Talk about
Kiper.
tremendous situation. You saw Micah Parsons in here. Was he 10'2", 600 pounds, all muscle? He had a tremendous guy. And at the end of the day, I want to get out of the way. So so yeah. But there are things that you find with these impressions that you can kind of own, quote unquote. But if it's a dead-on impression where you're just doing the voice and not adding character to it, like if somebody did a John Madden explaining something, I get it. But if they start going, if they start doing that thing, it's like, well, you're kind of doing me doing it.
Right.
But now,
I would say the same thing. The thing that I feel like that you own with Kiper is the Todd.
Right, which has ruined the name Todd for so many people.
I know.
Like, there are so many guys who work in cubicles, and every day they go to work and hear, Todd. McShay one time said to me, he goes, "You ruined my life." I'm like, "No, I got you a better second contract."
That's
dude.
right.
I got you. That's what that's all about. Some of it's just about being the name recognition. I go, "There's nobody who has more first." You're Madonna.
That's right.
At the mothership, we'll call it for this.
No, 100%. I feel like I know what you mean about you used to own an impression, but I will say I feel like, for whatever it's worth, I feel like that's a little bit inside baseball in the sense that, like, I love Joey Molinaro. Like, we follow each other on all social media. I think he's super talented. And if you'd said, does he do a Collinsworth, I might have said, oh, yeah, he probably does. But, like I feel, when I think of him, I think of, like, Saban. Like
Nick Saban, that's one of the best impressions.
He does a great Saban. But like, if you suddenly did Collinsworth, I wouldn't be like, Frank, why are you stealing Mullen? Because
I'd have to find
you've established yourself as a master impressionist, and so
thank you. I guess I don't know. I just see it as weird. I'm just old school, where if somebody's done it, and I have to get out of it some, because everybody else is doing impressions I've been doing for like, I'll do an impression that I've been doing for 20 years, and people are like, that's old. Then somebody will do it who's a young guy that's new, and they're like, gee. genius. I'm like, I've been doing that for 20 years.
Right.
And you told me that but it's a new guy doing it. I'm like, yeah, but he's doing the same thing. And I'm not saying that's not Joey like doing the same thing, but it's like sometimes some of these guys do similar impressions and they do put their own take on it. But they're like, why are you doing that guy still, that impression? I'm like, because people like it.
People love it.
You know, and I stopped doing the Madden Summerall, right? I wouldn't do it on screen. But then I did it once for a viral video. And then it went crazy. Even more viral was the Madden Summerall. So apparently I just can't be on the screen when I'm doing it. That's what it is. If I do it as a voiceover, I'll be like, great, as long as we don't see you.
Because I am sure when you go out on tour and you're doing your shows, people yell out voices at you. They want the hits.
Yeah, and they want the hits, which I'll do. I'll find different ways to do them. And then, you work on new things. That's one thing that's about the internet I try to do, is I tell people I'm working on something. So, for example, they're very similar voices.
Yeah, we're at Super Bowl week, so what are you working on for the Super Bowl, obviously?
Well, Patrick Mahomes is one that everybody's talking about.
Right.
Can you do a Patrick Mahomes? And there's, from what I've heard Patrick Mahomes say, it's Andy Reid. Andy Reid can do it. That thing right there. So you got to find it. So there's part Kermit the Frog. I'd say, hi, hello, Kermit the Frog. That's the Jim Henson in voices.
Yep.
And then there's the Frank Oz, waka, 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 that kind of thing, which is a Ray Romano, oh no, that kind of thing. So Kermit the Frog's in here, and then you got like John C. Reilly, that kind of a thing. Did you touch my drum set? Did you touch my drum set? So that's in there. You bring it down, put some Harris, Mark Ruffalo. I see this as an absolute win. The Joe Rogan's, wow, Jimmy, pull that up. Oh my gosh, wow. That's so. So then you add a little bit of this, and that's Patrick Mahomes. They come in here, and you got to get a little bit of that every once in a while. And it's funny because it becomes Tony Romo, Jim, if you just get rid of the throat. So all those voices are in a similar area, right? It's like Chris Hemsworth, Loki, my brother. Do you know you were in one of those movies?
Yes.
So I always do the Robert Downey Jr. Whenever I see him, I'm like, hey, this guy was in a movie with me, stole it, great job. So
this is a dead-on Downey. Yeah.
But Chris Hemsworth becomes, and this is where I get lost because I'm talking too fast. I can't even think of my own. But what's his name? He's in Thor: Love and Thunder as Zeus.
As Anthony Hopkins?
No, Gladiator. Gladiator. We can edit this. I can't even think of it. I'm Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe. So Chris Hemsworth's up here. Russell Crowe's down here. So they're almost the same voice, but it's just a little bit of pitch change, and you find it's so weird that how many are similar. Just a little bit of change.
And so you study it.
I spend more time trying to remember the names than I do actually working on the voices sometimes.
Well, you are a master, and you're hilarious, and we love you.
It's great to see it. It's great to see everything you're doing. I mean, I know everybody says that because I don't know if people thought you'd never do better than you were already doing, but really great to see you. Really great to see everything you're doing. Awesome stuff.
I appreciate it. It's been a blast being here at NBC, and I'm definitely having more fun. You've never stopped having fun. At Frank Caliendo on all forms of social media, frankcaliendo.com. Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
Great to see you as always. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.